The creak of my front door snapped me out of the legal brief I was reviewing in my home office. I froze, listening. Footsteps moved across the entryway, followed by a woman's voice muttering something about clear violations of Section 12.3. I hadn't scheduled any meetings, and my housekeeper wasn't due until Thursday. Setting my pen aside, I moved quietly to the top of the stairs. There, in the middle of my kitchen, stood a woman in her mid-50s, her burgundy blazer strained against her shoulders, a clipboard clutched in her hand like a weapon. She rifled through my cabinets, snapping pictures with her phone. "Improper storage of cleaning supplies," she declared, scribbling furiously. "That's a $25 fine." "Excuse me," I said evenly, my voice carrying down the stairs. "What exactly do you think you're doing in my home?" She froze mid-scribble. Her eyes darted to my face, then down to the embroidered federal court seal on the polo I'd worn from last week's charity golf event. The clipboard trembled in her grip. 3 months earlier, I had moved to Riverside Meadows to escape the noise of downtown and the constant barrage of high-profile cases. After 20 years on the federal bench, I wanted quiet, anonymity, tree-lined streets, and neighbors who didn't recognize me from newspaper headlines. The Colonial on Magnolia Drive seemed ideal. Tucked behind old oaks, just enough lawn to satisfy HOA requirements I barely skimmed during closing. The neighbors were pleasant enough on my walks, though several had warned me. "Watch out for Patricia Harrington," my next-door neighbor Stan had said, while trimming his hedges with military precision. "We call her Karen, but not to her face. She's been running this HOA like her personal kingdom for 5 years. I'd only smile politely. After all, I presided over racketeering trials and constitutional battles. How difficult could one homeowners association be? The first notice came 2 weeks after I moved in. A letter tucked into my door stating my mailbox was 3 inches too tall under subsection 8.4.2. I measured. It wasn't. When I called the HOA, Patricia's syrupy voice assured me it was probably just a clerical error, but suggested I replace it anyway just to be safe. A week later, another notice arrived, this time about recycling bins visible for more than 12 hours. Impossible, since I store them in my garage, except on collection day. Then came a third, citing excessive dandelions, though I just paid for professional landscaping. Each time I responded with firm but polite rebuttals, Patricia escalated. I caught glimpses of her burgundy blazer outside at odd hours, photographing my property. She began sending mass neighborhood emails about new residents who don't respect community standards. Then things got stranger. I started noticing signs someone had been inside my house. A stack of mail shifted. Cabinets left ajar. My garage door opener, always kept in my car, sitting on my kitchen counter. I told myself it was stress or forgetfulness, until the night I found my back door unlocked. The next day, I installed a professional-grade security system, motion sensors, cloud backups, night vision. Then I waited. I didn't wait long. On Tuesday at 2:17 p.m., the cameras caught Patricia Harrington walking up to my front door. After glancing around, she produced a key from her pocket and let herself in as though she owned the place. Through some discreet inquiries, I learned where it came from. The emergency lockbox the HOA required every homeowner to maintain, for first responders only. As HOA president, Patricia had access to every emergency lockbox in Riverside Meadows, supposedly for community safety. Instead, she spent 43 minutes inside my home, photographing everything from the contents of my refrigerator to the titles on my bookshelves, muttering about violations and fines the entire time. I could have confronted her immediately, but years on a bench had taught me patience. Better to let her dig her own grave. So I kept recording, waiting for the right moment. That moment came on a Thursday afternoon. I worked from home that day, parking my car in the garage, so it looked like I was gone. At 2:35 sharp, Patricia arrived, just as predictable as clockwork. From my office upstairs, I listened as she moved to the first floor, her voice echoing upward. "Improper shelf spacing in the pantry," she declared. "Non-approved brand of water softener salt. And look at this, store-brand pasta. Definitely lowers the neighborhood's character." That's when I stepped into view. "Patricia Harrington," I said, descending the stairs slowly. "You are trespassing my home." She spun, clutching her clipboard to her chest. "I have every right to conduct HOA inspections. It's in the bylaws." "The bylaws," I replied evenly, "permit exterior inspections with 24 hours notice. They do not authorize breaking into private residences. That, however, is covered under State Criminal Code Section 423.1. Her face reddened to match her blazer. "I didn't break anything. I have a key." "Yes," I said, reaching the bottom step. "A key you misappropriated from the emergency lockbox. That's theft of services, possibly fraud." I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen. "I also have 3 separate recordings of you entering my home without permission. Each one is a Class A misdemeanor. That's up to a year in jail per count." The clipboard slipped from her fingers. Paper scattered across my hardwood floor. "You can't prove anything," she stammered. "I'm the HOA president. I have authority." "Your authority ends at the property line," I said calmly. "And since we're discussing authority, allow me to introduce myself properly." I gestured toward the ID badge visible on the bookshelf behind me. "Judge Harrison Mitchell, Federal District Court, Eastern District. I believe you've already photographed that badge through my office window." The color drained from her face, so fast I thought she might collapse. Her mouth worked soundlessly. You're lying. You can't be." "Would you like to see my credentials? Or should we let the police verify them?" I held up my phone. I was about to call 911. "But if you'd rather turn yourself in voluntarily, I'll gladly drive you to the station." "This is entrapment," she shrieked, backing toward the door. "You set me up. You moved here just to destroy our community standards." "I moved here for peace and quiet," I corrected. "You chose to commit multiple felonies. And no, it isn't entrapment when you break into someone's home of your own free will. That's just criminal behavior." She tried to push past me, but I stepped aside and gestured politely. "By all means leave, but understand I'll be filing charges." The footage is already uploaded to a secure server, along with every false violation notice you've ever sent. Patricia stumbled onto my porch, then turned back, trying to salvage some defiance. "The HOA board will hear about this. You'll be fine. We'll force you out." "I look forward to that meeting," I said. "In fact, I'll be bringing my attorney. She specializes in civil rights violations and malicious prosecution. I'm sure you'll find her thorough." The rest unfolded with clockwork precision. That afternoon, I filed a police report, handing detectives a full package, footage, dates, and documentation of Patricia's harassment. The charges were simple: 3 counts of unlawful entry, criminal trespass, and misuse of emergency services. By the next week, word had spread like wildfire. The HOA board meeting was standing room only. Every homeowner Patricia had ever threatened with bogus fines came to see her reckoning. I connected my laptop to the projector. "Security footage from April 15th, I said calmly. On the screen, Patricia appeared, unlocking my front door at 2:17 p.m. and strolling inside as if she owned the place. The room gasped. April 22nd, 2:31 p.m. April 29th, 2:35 p.m. Each visit lasting between 30 and 50 minutes inside my residence. I said, advancing the security footage slide by slide. The room was silent until Garrett Thompson, a nervous-looking accountant and board member, finally cleared his throat. "Patricia, is this true? Did you actually enter Judge Mitchell's home?" Patricia sat stiffly, her budget attorney at her side, trying to hold on to her imperious facade. "I was conducting authorized HOA inspections," she insisted. "It is my duty as president to ensure standards are maintained inside resident homes." Margaret Liu, another board member, leaned forward, disbelief etched on her face. "Patricia, we've gone over this before. Our authority ends at the exterior of the property. This isn't just overreach, this is criminal." The vote to remove Patricia from the board was unanimous. Even her usual allies turned against her. But that was only the beginning. As word of her removal spread, neighbors came forward with their own stories. Stan admitted she had entered his home while he was on vacation, rearranging his furniture to improve feng shui. The Andersons discovered she had been in their basement photographing their storage system. A young couple on the corner even produced security footage of her rattling their doors and windows. The civil lawsuit I filed accused her of invasion of privacy, trespass, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. My attorney, true to her reputation, was meticulous. Discovery revealed Patricia had been entering homes across Riverside Meadows for years, keeping detailed files that went far beyond any HOA business. In notebooks, she cataloged neighbors' shopping habits, visitors, even snippets of private conversations overheard while trespassing. The criminal case was swift, with overwhelming evidence and multiple victims testifying. The jury needed less than 2 hours to reach a verdict. Patricia Harrington was convicted on all charges, 3 counts of breaking and entering, each carrying up to 12 months in jail, plus fines. At sentencing, Judge Chin, who had recused me from involvement, delivered the court's ruling with little sympathy. "Ms. Harrington," he said sternly, "you were entrusted with a leadership role in your community. Instead of serving your neighbors, you violated their most basic expectation of privacy and security. The court sentences you to 18 months in state prison, followed by 3 years of probation. You are further ordered to pay restitution to the victims in the amount of $87,000. Patricia's shriek pierced the courtroom as the bailiffs approached. "This isn't fair. I was protecting property values. I was maintaining standards." Her designer heels clattered frantically against the polished floor as she was led away, still crying out about the injustice of finally being held accountable for her actions.